Charles Olivera is dead. Ilia Topuria is a 2-weight world champion. Joshua Van is one of my favorite fighters, and Alejandro Pantoja is Demetrius Johnson reborn. Let's get into it. Despite all of the game planning that MMA did for Charles Olivera did still get knocked out by a brutal right-left combination. Now, what does this mean for Charles? Obviously, Charles is one of the greatest lightweights of all time, top 3, just above Khabib in my opinion, and he has now lost quite a few, which means that he is going to be pushing towards retirement. Ilia Topuria, on the other hand, has the greatest 3-fight win streak I've seen in a little while. He's beaten Alexander the Great, Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and now Charles Olivera has been added to his resume. So the real question is, what should Ilia Topuria do from here? He can either stay at 155 and defend the belt against guys like Arman, Paddy and Gaethje, or go up and try chase Islam Makhachev for the 170 belt. And if he does become the first 3-weight world champion in the UFC, he's the greatest fighter to ever touch the octagon. He could retire right there. However, Dana White is acting like none of contenders deserve a title fight. He's saying that Justin Gaethje's call out is wacky. He doesn't know who the hell put Paddy Pimblett in the cage, and he's saying Arman's still at the back of the line for a title shot. Side note, isn't it funny how out of touch Joe Rogan is, thinking the guy who had the back injury was Paddy Pimblett? Moving on to the flyweight division, Joshua Van and Brandon Royval put on one of the best fights of the year, and I've been saying it for a decent amount of time. Lona Kavanagh and Joshua Van are the light of the flyweight division. Joshua Van used to be described as mini Max Holloway. Now he's made a name for himself in the flyweight division, and he's the next #1 contender to fight Alejandro Pantoja. He's only been training for 5 years and he's already the #1 contender. So if you think you started late, you haven't. But training for only 5 years is going to be a detriment to him in the fight with Pantoja. This is because Pantoja has that jiu-jitsu base and enforces his will in his fights. So we're going to see if mini Max Holloway can take out Pantoja. Speaking of Pantoja is very underrated, even to the point where I could say he's DJ Part 2 or DJ Reborn. When it was Volk beating the 35 curse, everybody went crazy, but Pantoja just did it and nobody has even noticed. The other day I was 30 minutes deep in a chat about MMA with a guy and he didn't even know who Pantoja was. And I don't want his career to end and people to be like, this guy was the most or second most underappreciated champion that we've ever had. He's finishing fights, he's having exciting fights. The fight with Erkseg was close, it was exciting. The fight with Kara France, he submitted him in round 3 like I predicted on UFC 5. He's a great fighter and it's sad that people aren't paying as much attention to him. And I know that's why we were trying to get the Asian demographic in. That's why we have the Road to UFC Asia and we're getting Big Bang Zhang and Ming Yang Zhang and Zhang Wei Li and Kaya Sakura. However, we have to appreciate what we get, and Pantoja is a very, very rare, exciting, great champion. So will Ilia Topuria's career crash like Jon Jones? Is Joshua Van the man? And do you agree that Pantoja is one of the most underappreciated champions we could ever get? Like, comment, disagree with me in the comments, subscribe, and keep watching.